Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, the Red Raiders rolling down the rail on their way to a national softball championship, but now there's a bum steer on the tracks.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. So download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started and bet with FanDuel, official partner of the NBA. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you on this day in the 806. Not just any other day, it's a national title vibes kind of day. And those don't come all that often. So looking ahead to what is going down later on Wednesday night from Oklahoma City, it's Texas Tech and Texas for all of the softball marbles, or at least you begin that process. We do have a best of 3 series to play out here this week, and we'll dive head first into what's coming up on that front. I actually, before we get out of here, want to look also into the future a little bit with you, Chris, because as we're sort of learning about these roster building processes for a softball program, maybe some things afoot that a fan might not be aware of, as far as certainly plans for Texas Tech to remain in the deep end of the softball pond and continue to compete at the highest level. But I was curious to get some thoughts from you on sort of the timeline and how these things come together, because like with other sports, it seems like there's a little bit of an intersection or a collision when it comes to softball still happening, yet roster decisions being made as it relates to an upcoming year. I also want to touch on something that I think is a little bit more abstract, and I'm curious to hear from the audience, of course, on this, but I'm curious to pick your brain about essentially what would be the biggest workhorse on campus, the workingest workhorse in a Red Raider uniform anywhere, because I'm thinking about Nagee Kennedy. I'm thinking about the position of a softball starting pitcher and how often they can impact, obviously, their team's fortunes. Is there another comparison on campus? Do we go to a football program or elsewhere? I want to get into that coming up in just a moment. But, man, we got to kick it off with the 800-pound steer in the room. That is Bevo. That is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's a burger. That's a ribeye. That's all the good stuff. And, Chris, to me, that's much more than a softball game. Maybe even if you can imagine it, I don't know if I'd say more than, but added on top of a national title series. It's the Longhorns over there, somebody that just gave you the middle finger and left you in the dust, tried to cripple your conference again. So to me, it's much more than just a softball game we're in for.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you scripted all this stuff, I mean, the Texas Tech Oklahoma scenario with all the connections there, and the Louisiana transfers, and Sam Landry, the pitcher, and Coach Glasgow, and all that. But then, okay, you advance, and this is who's waiting on you. I mean, it's just. And you're basically playing back-to-back teams that just left your league, and they were the face of Big 12 softball. Both of them were. They both played for the national championship a year ago. Oklahoma was the one that won it all. And here's the evil empire just staring at you. And I'm sure that there's a level of Texas going, seriously, this is who. We're going to get to play for this thing again, and this is who we're getting, like one of these hottest teams in the country, and a former conference foe, and we got to deal with all this hatred or this angst. Describe it however you want. Big 12 versus SEC, whatever. But it just, I mean, it gives us another reasons to do this, which I don't, that never gets old. Horns down forever and ever and ever and ever. But never thought that we'd see it on this stage, in this sport. But it just seems so appropriate. I mean, like, if you're Coach Glasgow, that's the one thing about the portal, I would say, is that I could argue that in some ways this is good. You could translate this to football too, but like I think in some ways maybe it's good that Coach Glasgow doesn't walk. He's not walking around with any of this like hatred or angst or whatever. Nagee Kennedy doesn't. She doesn't feel that. Now she may get a sense of it from the fans or like the way that she's asked questions leading up to this game, and Coach Glasgow too, in that this is a previous conference rival, a rival to Texas Tech across the board, all those things. It's probably good for some of these pieces that came in from Louisiana not to be walking around with that baggage or carrying that extra burden. This is just another opponent. They have no history here other than the 2 games that Texas beat them earlier in the season when it was mid-February and they're just getting started. I think in a way that's good. Like you could translate that to like the football program too. Like, you know, any drama you've got, like, for example, let's use the Kansas State football scenario. When we play that game this coming season, we're going to talk about you don't ever win in Manhattan. It's very difficult to win in Manhattan. They have owned you. You figure out ways to lose up there. To 30% of your roster and a lot of the top parts of your roster, they have no knowledge of this. They don't care. This means nothing to them. This is a nameless, faceless, purple opponent that I'm trying to take down like everybody else. I'm trying to eat, folks. I just so happen to have a double T on my helmet. So there's a benefit there to the portal from that standpoint. But like your softball program, they don't. I just don't think they have like woken up every day of their lives going, we got to beat them. I hate them. It's been ingrained in me ever since. Maybe a few parts, but I think that's important to note. It may benefit you from this standpoint. But now the fans in the stands, there'll be a little extra spice or a little bit more spike in their lemonade, if you will, when they're yelling against the opponent across the old softball park this evening, and I guess tomorrow night, and after the Lady Raiders or Red Raiders win 2 of them there. I don't know your thoughts.
Look, you ain't got to. I'm sorry.
Well, do you agree with that? Do you?
I hope it's the opposite. I hope they hate them with the fire of 1,000 suns. It's not just any other team. You ain't got to have a Red Raider on your shirt to know right and wrong. So even before they were Red Raiders, I'm sure people like Coach Glasgow, Nagee Kennedy, who I consider just to be good red-blooded Americans, they already knew to instinctively hate the University of Texas. So I do actually hope that's a little fuel in their tank as well. I could be wrong on it. I don't know. But there's no way to not acknowledge all the layers to it. And this is not a conversation for any wayward Longhorns stumbling by this episode and thinking, but we don't care about y'all. It doesn't matter to us. I hate you. I never asked what you felt about anything. Before I had an answer or even an inkling of how you felt, I already had that emotion. So it doesn't matter, not a conversation for them. I do have another question, though. Why are we still in Oklahoma City shopping local in OKC? This is an interest. Why? This is a Lone Star showdown. Could we not get back south of the Red River and maybe contribute something to the Lone Star State? Thanks for a few rounds, Oklahoma City, but we're good. We don't need you for this one. Has anybody asked that question? Is this just like a charity event that we gather up in Oklahoma City and help out the local economy? Or I don't know. Has anybody even considered moving this thing?
This is much like Omaha for college baseball. Oklahoma City, I guess, has just been the home of, I don't know how long it's been there, but I think many, many years, and they've added on to said stadium. It's centrally located. But the irony is not lost on me that 2 of Texas's best are setting up shop in OKC and forced to stay a little bit longer and spread the wealth there to the local economy there in OKC.
Yeah, you're welcome. I guess we'll do what we can for you.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been weird because I'm genuinely curious how much the local economy has been helped in Reese with this Oklahoma run, because these people are they're just driving over from Norman or driving right there in OKC. They're not, the entertainment industry is all about heads and beds. That's the way they phrase it, with like, how many hotel rooms do you fill up every night? That's really what generates an event. And that's what, kind of the folks in charge of bidding on certain events for cities, that's the language they understand, and that's the way they talk. And it's probably not a ton there with Oklahoma's recent success, but yeah, it is close enough though to where so many of the Tech faithful can get there. But you're right, you got to cross the state border there, so which feels kind of dirty, and a Red River and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, we'll finish it out. That's fine. This time around, we'll finish it out. But if it happens again next year, we'll meet you in Dallas or something like that.
Funny you say that.
But I did have another angle I wanted to consider before we get to what's coming up in the future, Chris, and that's related to the impact of one Nagee Kennedy. First, today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. That's related to the impact of one Nagee Kennedy or one ace softball pitcher, because watching the load that she's been carrying as Texas Tech's workhorse is just amazing. But I know it's not, super abnormal from a softball perspective to have someone that can pitch that many innings or obviously throw that many pitches. And I was thinking this week about just any other comparison available on campus. I don't know if there is one, but do we want to mention a quarterback? Do we want to mention a basketball player, a soccer star, or whoever it might be, a pitcher for the baseball team? I don't know. Is there anybody you can even think of that might be in the same universe as workhorses are concerned individually?
Yeah, and I think that people are that maybe if you're a fan of softball or your kid played it or you've watched it or whatever, you kind of have an idea that this is somewhat normal at this stage, but maybe you're pushing some of these aces to a bit of the limit here. I don't know. Like, here's the thing: what would have happened with Oklahoma and with Texas Tech if you'd have played a second game on Monday night? Like, what would that have looked like? I mean, how far do you go there with it? I think the physics of the way a softball pitcher works, it doesn't put the stress on the elbow or the shoulder like it does baseball, right? And that's why baseball pitchers are like fragile and can be in overuse. Is I think generally speaking, you're worried about hands and you're worried about just general stamina and like mental capacity, like, oh, I'm rattled, or man, I'm just out of gas, I'm just exhausted, and that's maybe when it reaches its limit. But I mean, like between Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech, everybody kind of said these are probably the four best aces out there, and they pretty much pitched the whole postseason, with a few slight, anyway. So that's unlike any other sport, though. I guess that you're right, because baseball just doesn't work like that, and then you're pitching once a week. The quarterback comparison is probably the only football equivalent you can give, but it's not the same. You probably have the most to do with winning and losing. That's probably fair, but Pat Mahomes did, and his defense just was not very good here, and so as good as he was, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so that's a great example to give you, but and like, I don't do we go like hockey or soccer goalie, like in just sport in general, but they're not. That's not the stress like it is on a pitcher. If you have a great goalie, they can play every game and they don't ever have to come out, but it's just not near as. And they are going to have a lot to do with winning, but they can't go score. I mean, and the thing I guess about Nagee is that she's not only pitching, but she has something to do with the offense too. Like, Brandon Morton, for example. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, Baron Morton, he's not, he's not playing any defense. Pat Mahomes wasn't playing any defense. I mean, so there's a whole separate component, different coaches, different scheme, and a whole group of players that are going to have a lot to do with whether you get out of this thing with a win or not. And a basketball player, I'll just use the Oklahoma example. Because remember a few years ago when Trae Young was playing for Oklahoma, he was one of the best players in the country. This was a lottery pick. They were not very good as a team. It didn't change the fact that he was not. Tell me, they doubled him. Teams tried to face guard him and get the ball out of his hands, and he's still scoring 25 points a game or whatever it was, and he ended up being picked in the top 10 in the NBA draft, and he's an all-star and all that stuff. Talking about Rayford Young's son. And yet they just, as a team, they just weren't very good. He wasn't a great defender. You could scheme away from him. Like you can't hide from the softball pitcher, especially when you're seeing her nearly every game. I mean, every single one. And it's really a unicorn from the position in sport that probably has the most effect on the outcome of said sport. And it's not just on a game-by-game basis, but it's the fact that it can be every game, I guess. It's like, okay, we're going to play the 3-game series against whoever this weekend in a conference series. You're going to see Nagee Kennedy in all of them. I mean, It doesn't have to be that way. Jerry Glasgow, even, they played Nebraska earlier in the season. Nebraska's got this really good pitcher that was up for a lot of the postseason awards. And Glasgow basically said, Nigel didn't pitch this game or didn't pitch all of it or didn't pitch it or whatever. And I think everybody was like, oh, this would have been a great matchup. Like, what are we doing here? And he was trying to teach his team. I'm trying to teach my team. I don't want it to be all about her. I want her to focus on hitting in this game. Like, let's focus on that. He was playing the long game here. But, and then that's why she's, again, even more different than your normal softball ace, just because she came to Lubbock and Texas Tech, and you've heard the story repeatedly. We spent 2 hours. We talked an hour and a half. It was all about hitting. Here's my lineup. Here's how we're going to build this thing around you. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll let you talk pitching here in a little bit, but and this is what this player wanted. She wanted to be kind of a two-way player. I mean, this is like, I guess, could we be playing the Travis Hunter card here? I mean, he's as close to a football equivalent as I've seen, but he couldn't affect winning and losing near that she did, and he won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, and I think she's a lot better player, respectively, in her sport than he is, because he wasn't the best of either, and she may be the best arm in the country.
Probably fair.
He had a terrific marketing push and a really dang good football player, but I think even went a little beyond probably where his talent would have taken him, whereas she's going to be on a short list of most impactful players all across the country, no matter how you're slicing it up. And I would say, really, Chris, that's also the other layer to consider, is not just that position has the chance to really impact things so often in the circle, or if they're hitting as well at the plate, but to do it to the extent or the impact that she does. We've got Nagee Kennedy living in the 806 right now. So not just anybody out there doing it like that, but I don't really think there is a comparison.
Calvin, you win. That is the Nagee Kennedy. That you win. Shut it down. Drop the mic. Walk off. And we're done here, man. We're not really done, but that is. I'm embarrassed that I didn't think of that, because he's the baseball equivalent, and even then, he may be one of the best hitters in the game, but like even then is like the arm, the troubles that he's had, the shoulder problems that he's had. And this is the best baseball player walking the face of the planet right now. Yeah. And what is he making? Like, what is it, like $60 million a year or something insane? I mean, I don't know what kind of deal he signed. His trainer likes to wager, or his. Yeah,
I think it was a parlay deal.
His translator likes to play the ponies, I think, or whatever controversy that was. But yeah, Nagee Kennedy. Gosh dang it. Well done, sir.
Before we get out of here, Chris, it really sounds like, and you've made repeated references to this in some recent weeks, that the plans are to remain competing on an elite level. I know it's much easier said than done, but it really is beginning to feel like Nagee Kennedy is sort of only going to be the initial wave or the tip of the iceberg whenever it comes to Texas Tech's ability to attract some top shelf softball talent. And you and I were even talking the other day about, and I hope you can just kind of clarify this because I'll just butcher it if I try to break it down, but there's timeline wise, I mean, is there roster construction happening?
Well, the portal's open right now. The portal's open right now.
Yeah.
It's just like the NCAA tournament. Like if you were in the Final Four, remember when Houston lost the national championship game and Pop Isaacs announced he's going to Houston like a day or two later? So this is you're in this simultaneous world right now. You are building your team for next year, all while still playing in Oklahoma City. The portal is open. There are players that have been entering the portal. Cowan, I'm gonna lay this down as a fact. You will be heard from big time via the portal. Texas Tech will land and secure top talent via the portal. So much so that I'd be willing to bet you that it's on par with what you did in football. Now we'll see. I can't say that. I don't have names. I don't have like positions necessarily. I just think that you will play ball at the absolute highest level, and people will look and point and get frustrated or be excited, but expectations will. I mean, it will make people feel some sort of way.
It'll be triggering.
You will be relevant. It will trigger some, but you are. Oh yeah, you're, and I can't say that you're just getting started, because I don't think long term we know the way the rules are and whatever. But you are continuing to play the rules as they currently are constructed, and taking advantage of those sets of rules, and you are not screwing around. So if you are enjoying this little run that these ladies have been on, if you're enjoying Coach Glasgow, if you need a roadmap to OKC, keep it handy. Because you will more than likely, almost assuredly, need to have and I'd be willing to bet you. I bet for a super regional next year, I bet you don't have to go anywhere.
That'd be nice, and I'd love to just
ain't no more 18-hour road trips with the pitching machines for Coach Glasgow to Tallahassee. Maybe get to set up shop at home for a couple of weekends before the short drive up to OKC. We'll see. I'm just trying to lay the groundwork there that I think you will be very relevant. I think they will add punch to their lineup. I think they will secure a little bit more pitching depth, very high quality. I think they will try to just be a bit older. And so if you've kind of studied this thing and you're looking at it, because there's some freshmen on this deal that have been awesome. And there's a lot of these pieces that come back. You graduate a few, but this is, you're ready to try to, give this thing another go, and you will, and you still could get it done this year. But no, this is, you're absolutely in this thing, man. And it's, I'm here for it, man. I love it.
Yeah. You're in the national championship series. So it's literally only you and one other team that are in this thing. At the same time, everyone else is not.
But I mean, in the sport in general, like you're playing, like, I may botch this, but like Florida State, Oklahoma, and Texas have been the only three teams that have either won it or played in the final series in the last period of time. And you've knocked off two of them and are about to play a third one. And it's like that's a 4 to 8 year span. So there's somewhere I'll botch that number, so somebody will look it up and point it out. Yeah, but anyway, I just you'll continue to stay in this very small conversation of big time programs that are trying to give it a go in OKC every year.
Line them up, knock them down. That's been the approach so far. And yeah, if you're spending more time in the postseason in the LBK, that's fine, but let's keep the routine the same because it's been successful. Coach Glasgow may just want to get in the truck and, I don't know, make a quick lap to Amarillo or something like that on the road with those pitching machines just to stay loose, keep the edge off. But can't wait to find out once again when we get down the road what some of this excitement could look like and this relevancy or sustaining relevancy could look like. And I'm down to just start getting accustomed to kicking off the month of June with the College World Series. So I'm good for another round if everybody wants to go ahead and make plans to be back again next season. But first, the biggest business still to take care of. So looking forward to seeing how it plays out as they open up the series with the Longhorns. And we'll be here to process it with you as we roll through the remainder of the week. So hoping for all good things. The guns are definitely up from the LBK to the OKC or anywhere in between, Chris.
I mean, we talked softball, we talked Shohei Ohtani, we talked Travis Hunter, we talked Nagee Kennedy, we talked roadmaps to OKC. I mean, this is a well-rounded episode that you constructed here for us, sir. I tip my cap to you, and the Nagee Ohtani reference was it's pure gold, man. And I do appreciate your hatred of the evil empire too. That again.
I mean, what's there to like, honestly? You don't even really have to
Not
try.
a damn thing.
They were never number one on the distasteful list. It was always the Aggies. Both are more well-financed than the Kingdom of God, but playing the Longhorns forever has just kind of felt like playing the Dallas Cowboys or something. It's like, man, do we even get to be in the same category? And then you're ripping off a few things here or there, but they create their own villainous script time and time and time again. And we're all tuned in and excited to find out if they kneecap or at least make an effort to cripple their third straight conference. This will be the biggest one yet. So I think they've got it in them though. And shout out to the mom jeans wearing McDonald's breakfast eating Chris Del Conte. I want to make sure I pronounced that in the right way. And all of our friends down in Austin. Glad to have you in the audience. So thanks for checking in. Chris, appreciate you checking in, most importantly. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you for the next one.
Yeah, man. Horns down, always and forever. We'll talk to everybody next time.
Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks for being out there. Thanks to the Everydayers and thanks to the Matador Mob. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.